Good morning, first grade. I hope everybody had a wonderful long weekend and enjoyed the extra day off. All right, today we are going to work on our final writing task for Seahorse, the shyest fish in the sea. And it's going to be similar to what we did with Me, Jane, where you will write an informative paragraph about things that we've learned from the Seahorse text, just like you did when you wrote about Jane Goodall and the book Me, Jane. All right, so just like last time, I am going to help get you set up and get you started and walk you through the steps for finding your information and putting your paragraph together, and then you can work on the writing and then share it with me. So the paper that you can use is in the third supply box folder, and it is the one that has the seahorse on it. So you'll see the checklist in the front, just like with the other writing. And then there are 2 pages after that. One has a blank space for an illustration, and then the second page is just lined paper. All right, and it is called Assessment 19A, Focusing Question Task 3. But if you just look for the seahorse, that will be the right paper. Okay, so first, we want to think about some of the details and information that we have learned about the seahorse's features. And I've put them into a chart here, and I've organized them by the feature. So we have the tail, the pouch, and the eyes. And under each category, I have details that are just about that one feature. So these are all details about the tail. These are all details about the pouch. And these are all details about the eyes. So in your writing task, you are going to just be choosing or focusing on one feature. So you'll need to choose one feature. So why don't we think about that right now together? So you're either going to tell about the tail, the pouch, or the eyes. So you can pick, and whichever one you think is most interesting to you, I would choose that one. So why don't we take a minute and think about and think in your head or even say out loud, which feature do you want to write about? The tail, the pouch, or the eyes? You got it? All right, so thumbs up if you have decided on the one feature you want to focus on. Okay, excellent. So the next part is we need to figure out what details we want to include in our paragraph. So if you want to pause for just a moment and grab your Wit and Wisdom Module 2 blue workbook, the one that has the hair on the front of it. And if you open up to page handout 18A, this is going to help us find our details. So I'll give you a moment to pause and grab your workbook. Okay, so on this handout 18A, it says Seahorse Details, and the directions say circle 2 details to include in your informative paragraph. You'll notice that it is organized that same way. There are details about the tail, there are details about the pouch, and there are details about the eye. So you want to find your feature. So let's just say you chose to write about the eyes. I'm going to write about the eyes, so I'll use that as my example. But if you chose the eyes, you would be looking just in this section. If you chose the pouch, you would be looking just in this section. And if you chose the tail, you would be looking just in this section. So once you find your section, then you want to pick 2 details from this handout that you want to include in your writing. So if I am choosing the eyes, I am going to first write that their eye is like a black bead. So I'm going to circle that detail. Eye is like a black bead. I think that's pretty interesting. And then my other detail, I'm going to pick one more. I'm going to say that they can see food from any direction. I think that's pretty interesting. They can see food from any direction. So why don't you take a moment, and if you need to pause, find the two details that you would like to write about in your paragraph. And I'll read these for us just quickly so you can follow along and decide what details. So for the tail, it's twist tails together with mate, uncurls tail to rise up in the water, curls tail to drop down in the water, and tail can hold on to things. So if you chose tail, you would want to circle two of those details. If you chose the pouch, here are the details to choose from. Female puts eggs in the male's pouch, male seals the pouch, and male gives birth to the babies. So you would want to choose two of those details. And for the eye, we already said, eye is like a black bead. One eye looks up and one eye looks down, can see food from any direction. Okay, so have you circled your two details? I'll give you a minute. Okay, excellent. So we are well on our way to putting our paragraph together. All right, so as you remember, in a informative paragraph, there are three parts, right? The topic statement or topic sentence that tells about the topic of the paragraph, but also tries to catch the reader's attention. The facts and details give additional information to support the topic. And then our conclusion basically restates and reflects on the topic sentence. So it's not the exact same words, but it's very similar. It's a very similar sentence that is basically saying the same thing in different wording. And that's how we just kind of wrap up, put the bow on our paragraph and wrap it up. Okay, so I have the sentence starters for you for the topic sentence. Seahorses have unique blank. And this is where you're going to write the feature that you chose. So if I were writing this and thinking about it and practicing it out loud first, I would say seahorses have unique eyes, because that was the feature I chose from my chart up here. Okay? All right. So then for your facts and details, your information, the meat, cheese, lettuce, tomato part of your paragraph, that's where you're going to come back to this part and look at the two details you chose from handout 18A. Now, do you notice anything about the way these are written? Eye is like a black bead. Is that a complete sentence? No, these are not necessarily all written in complete sentences. So what we have to do as the writer is take the detail, take the notes from this page, the details that we chose, and turn them into complete sentences. And I think that some determiners, adding some determiners, will help us to create a complete sentence. Okay, so I'm thinking eye is like a black bead. How could I turn that into a complete sentence? I could say something like, the seahorse's eyes look like a black bead, period. That would be taking this detail and putting it into a complete sentence. And I did use some determiners, right? The seahorse's eyes look like a black bead. And this next one, can see food from any direction. How can I turn that into a complete sentence? Can see food from any direction. I could say something like, a seahorse's eyes or seahorse's eyes can see food from any direction. So I've taken this phrase that's not a complete sentence and I've added some additional words to it, like determiners, like a or the and seahorse, or the seahorse's eyes, and made it into a complete sentence. Okay, so we have our topic statement, and in my case, seahorses have unique eyes. My two facts and my details for my next two sentences. The seahorse's eyes look like a black bead, period. Next sentence, I could say, a seahorse's eye can see food from any direction, period. That turned it into a complete sentence. Now I'm at my conclusion. The seahorse's, what did I write about? Eyes are useful. So that's what you're going to do. And I really encourage you, it says orally rehearse. That means to just say your paragraph out loud before you actually sit down to write it. I think that can be really helpful for just kind of organizing it and helping us, figure out exactly what we want to write and how we want to write it, and make sure that we've included every part of our paragraph. It should be 4 sentences, so you should have 4 sentences written. Okay, so practice saying your paragraph, and when you feel ready, and you can go ahead and start actually writing your informative paragraph with your 4 sentences that include topic statement, your 2 details that you chose from this page, and then your conclusion. Okay, they're also asking us to include an illustration with today's writing. So we've learned that the author used some interesting language to help us really visualize the seahorse, right? Head like a horse, tail like a monkey, pouch like a kangaroo. You can use that to help you, and certainly feel free to look at the book to help you with your illustration. But try to think about those details and how you can put that into your own, nice detailed illustration. Okay, so you will do that, and then of course we want to check. Like we've said before, if you want to do your writing, maybe take a break, walk away from it, maybe work on your illustration, and then go back and check your work to make sure that all of your sentences start with that's right, capital letter. You've used punctuation at the end of all of your sentences. And in this time, they're asking us to circle any determiners that we've used. So we want to try to put what we learned to use and use some determiners in our writing. Just like when I said, the seahorse's eyes look like a black bead. The would be one of our determiners that we've learned in article. A black bead, A would be one of the articles. So see if you can go through and just lightly circle or underline any of the determiners that you used in your writing. Okay, so I know that's a lot. Just go through the steps, choosing your 1 feature, your 2 details, practice your paragraph, just saying it out loud. Use the organizer here to help walk you through. And then, walk away from it for a little bit, come back, read back over it, check for capitals, punctuation, and circle any determiners. All right, so I know that's a lot, but I also know that you've learned so much about writing informative paragraphs that I know you'll do a great job. And I can't wait to see what feature you chose and what details you included. And I'll talk to you soon. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need any help. Bye, guys.